Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is a review and demo of the Lorac Pro 3 eyeshadow palette. I got mine from Ulta and it was $44 and it comes with a deluxe size Lorac behind the scenes eye primer. And for $44, I used the 20% off coupon. A couple types a year, you know, you can get a coupon where it'll let you use the 20% off on high-end products. So didn't mind doing that. I actually got this for Christmas for my husband, so I kind of bought it myself. You know what I mean? It's our money, my money, his money, same money. But he picked it out, and I have the Lorac Pro 2, and I like it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite eyeshadow palette, but I do like it. And I thought the Lorac Pro 3 and the Lorac Pro 1 would make great additions to my collection. He bought the Lorac Pro 3. So now I'm on the market for the Pro 1. But anyway, this palette is less about the you know, dramatic shades and cool tone shades. It's a very much more wearable palette. I'm going to show you close-ups and everything and swatches, but it's a very much, it's a more everyday palette. Your average woman could probably use this. I am going to show you a quick demo of the palette, and then we will get into the review. This is the eye look we're going to recreate. It is a pewter on the lid with some grays and more of a cool tone look. Since I'm wearing a gray top today, I thought it would be kind of fun. So I did prime my eyes, and now I'm using a fluffy eyeshadow brush. This is a no-name brand, and I'm using the color Pink Nude, which is just that. It's a slightly pinky nude shade, and that is going to be my transition shade. So I'm just applying that generously in the crease and slightly above the crease, and windshield wiper motions, back and forth motions. I'm just going to set this brush aside because I will come back to it. Then I take a flat eyeshadow brush. This is just your standard generic eyeshadow brush, and I'm taking the color Light Pewter, which is a silvery gray color, and I am tapping that on the lid. Using the color Blanc and a little bit of light gold, these two at the end, for my brow bone and the inner corner of my eye, and I'm applying those mostly Blanc underneath the eyebrow. I don't want any shimmer there to highlight all the brow hairs I haven't plucked. And then a little bit more with light gold in the center with a pencil brush. Going in with a stubbier, stiffer brush. This is a Sigma Buff and Blend E39. And I'm going in with Cool Taupe as a, kind of like a, I guess it's a crease shade, but I'm using that on the outer third of the eye and taking it in the crease, swiping it over. We are going to go in with an even darker shade for the outer V. It's like a transition to the outer V, how about that? Then I'm going in with a domed utility brush from Sigma, the E34. It's basically like that brush we just used, but a smaller version of it. And with this one I'm going in barely tapping the color Truffle, the really deep shade. It's kind of like a cool tone black. Hard to explain. I don't know if I'd call it dark gray. I think it's more like a dark gray brown, maybe. And with that original brush we used with Pink Nude, I'm blending out the edges. Then I go back into all of the brushes, all of the shades, touch up, edit, add more product, perfect it as you would. But I'm going to take the lid shade, Pewter, apply some to the brush, the same brush I used with pewter before, just a flat eyeshadow brush. Then I'm taking a setting spray and I'm spraying my brush. And that was just to get a more shimmered look. So shimmery now, a little bit. Once I apply it foiled, takes it up a notch. Then I'm going back into every brush with each color. For liner, I'm using Urban Decay's 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the color Smoke. It's basically a dark gray. Doing that on the upper lash line, the tight line, the waterline, and the lower lash line. Then one more time I touch up my eyeshadow as needed, anything to just make it look exactly how I want it before I lock it in with some mascara. This is the It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. If you want to add a little pop, you can actually apply some more eyeshadow underneath that liner. I used a a Makeup Geek defined crease brush and the color Pewter which is that lid shade. It's a little bit shimmery. And I applied that right underneath the eyeliner. And it just kind of softens the dark gray, blends it out with a lighter gray. Okay, so that is how I created the eye look you're seeing today. One thing I would say about this palette, no matter how much I tried to get that lid shade to really pop, that light pewter shade, to get it to be foiled, to get it to be dramatic, to get it to be noticeable that it's gray. I'm wearing gray, I'm wearing like silvery jewelry, pewter colored like jewelry, and I thought, oh, this is great, I'm gonna play up on the gray color. I can't tell that it's gray. Like even right now, it looks kind of just like shimmery nude. And I've tried to pair it with gray eyeliner, and I just cannot get the gray look I was looking for. So I wouldn't say it isn't pigmented, I wouldn't say that it isn't shimmery, but it's definitely not anywhere near as foiled as like the Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadows or even a Becca highlighter or nothing like that. So if you're looking for like intense punches of metallic shades, these are not them. If you're looking for wearable everyday shades that are going to be more natural but still like shimmery and pretty, these are great. As far as wear power goes, these last a long time on my eyes. They do have a little bit of fallout, but not too much, as you'll see in the demo. I mean, I used them lots of the different colors from the palette, and I didn't have any fallout on my cheeks, and I had already done my concealer and powder and everything. I would say that the price point of this palette is okay. It's pretty comparable to a lot of the higher end palettes. It's $10 cheaper than an Urban Decay Naked palette, so that's something to think about. There are 16 shades instead of 12. I believe 12 is how many is in the Urban Decay ones. As far as price per shadow goes, they're pretty comparable. This one, the palette isn't as thick. You might not get as much per shadow, but you get 16 shadows instead of 12. So they're pretty comparable. I prefer personally to have a variety of shadows. I'd rather have 16 over 12. I like that this palette gives you 8 mattes and 8 shimmery shades. When I say 8 mattes, that's kind of a stretch. A couple of the mattes I found that came off a little shimmery or like slightly satin, not matte, but I do like that because the Urban Decay ones, some of them, most of the shadows in it are shimmery, and you're like, or they have the matte palettes, the Naked Basics, and they're all matte. And you're like, I want something that has a little bit of both. So that is something that the Lorac Pro 3 has going for it, is it has shimmery shades and matte shades. So depending on what mood you're in or whatever, you could definitely get a variety of looks. You can make this work appropriate. You can make this your night out palette. I will go ahead and show you the swatches now. So I did 4 at a time. The top row, the 4 mattes, 4 more mattes. Then I did the bottom row, 4 shimmers, and then 4 more shimmers. The first 4 are basically like your brow bone shades, lid shades, and maybe a transition shade. So Blanc is an off-white bone kind of color that you could use underneath your brow bone. It's pretty good for that. It's not white, so I think a lot of skin tones can pull it off. Then Canvas is a very nude shade. So if you're the type of person who likes to apply a nude shadow on top of your eyeshadow base before you start your eye look for blending, make blending easier, Canvas is going to be really good. It's very similar to my skin tone, so it's kind of hard to see in the swatch. Cool Taupe is what I used today as my, not my transition shade, but it's the transition from the outer V shade to the shadow and the lid, and it performs okay. It's just a brown. It's a tan brown. It doesn't wow me. It's fine, but I think I've had drugstore shadows that perform just as well, like the Milani Bella Eyes gel powder eyeshadows. Then Pink Nude is what I used as my transition shade today. I do like it. I think that it leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not as pigmented as I might like, but some people might prefer that. I think it's okay. So for the second set of 4, you have Clay. Clay is more of a warm-toned brown. So Cool Taupe and Clay are similar in the depth of the brown, but Cool Taupe is cool and Clay is more of a warm, has a reddish undertone. Terracotta, though, has an orangey yellow, like gold undertone. So still that same depth, but you're getting like a mustard orange shade. Dark brown is exactly that. It is a dark brown. Very good. That's a staple to me in any palette. I think you should always have a dark brown and a black. So the jet black in the palette is a very good, highly pigmented black shade. It blends okay, but it is definitely pigmented. So a little bit goes a long way, ladies. tap your brush off any excess. You're going to get more than you bargained for if you're not careful. So for the third set of 4, we have light gold, almond pearl, medallion, and light pewter. So light gold is a really pretty lid shade. It doesn't show up too much on my skin tone. I think if you had a darker skin tone, it would really pop. But I like to mix it with Blanc, the white shade, to kind of make my inner corner of the eye highlight shade. I think it looks really pretty on its own on the lid. It's fine. It's a lightening, brightening, metallic-y shade. Almond pearl, same deal. It's kind of like a champagne color for the lid or inner corner if you like some highlight. I think that light gold and almond pearl actually make really pretty cheek highlights. So I have done that, and those will work really well. Most of the shadows in this palette are very smooth when you swatch them. They're smooth blending on the eye. I will point out the exception, medallion. So when I swatch this, you can see little chunks of the shadow in the swatch. And so I thought I would show you what my palette looks like. The photos I took of the palette were before I did the swatches. The full palette. Those photos were from before I swatched any of them for you. This palette had been used a few times, but you should see that there's mild wear, okay? When I swatched medallion, you can tell. Look at all the dust it kicks up. Look at all the little shimmer particles it kicks up. It's almost like chunky and not real smooth. It feels gritty on the finger when you put your finger in it to swatch it. And I found myself blowing off the excess to get a smooth application. I don't think that affects the wear of it. I think it still applies fine, but just something to note if you're a fan of smooth textured shadows. That one is not smooth. It's going to come off in pieces and you will get some fallout and you'll have to kind of use a larger brush to kind of brush off the excess. Light pewter is the shade I used on my lid today. And like I said, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's not as silver as I wanted. It's not as foiled as I wanted, not as pigmented as I wanted, but it's fine. It's adequate. If you had never used a really good high quality shadow before, if you're comparing this to a drugstore shadow or you're a beginner, you're probably going to love this palette. But I have tried some amazing shadows and I have many palettes in my collection, and I just don't think that light pewter is performing. I think that they could have done better adding a little bit more silver to the palette, giving this palette more versatility. But if you don't like bold shadows, you're probably going to love light pewter. It gives you that taste of silver gray without going full New Year's Eve glam if you're not into that. Amethyst is a gorgeous burgundy berry shade. I love this one. It's all shimmery, but it's still wearable. I just think that that is one of the standouts from this palette. I saw it immediately and I wanted to use that. And it works really well. Then Rose Bronze is exactly what it sounds like. It is a gorgeous metallic rose bronze. Applies very well. I think that that one is a shade that you could put all over the lid as a single shadow look and go. Very quick look and it would be really pretty. Dark Mocha is a shimmery dark brown. So in this palette you have dark brown, dark mocha, truffle, and jet black. So the difference between dark brown and dark mocha, I'm going to show you a picture of those four next to each other so you can tell what I'm talking about. But dark brown is more matte, maybe slightly, slightly satin, but dark mocha has little specks of shimmer in it. It's like a dark brown, but it's very metallic and it's got little shimmery, glittery particles in it. It's still a smooth texture and it applies just fine, but just something to note. And then the last color in the palette that I haven't talked about is Truffle. And Truffle is a dark brown. It's like a cool tone brown. I would say it goes between like a charcoal and a dark brown with shimmer. So it's called Truffle. I would think that would mean it was brown, but I paired it today with the light pewter shade, which is the cool tone kind of grayish shade. And I think you can pull it either direction. If you wore it with very warm colors, it might come off more brown. If you wore it with blues, it might come off more silver, dark gray. But yeah, dark brown, jet black, dark mocha, and truffle, those are the four you're seeing here. You do have some versatility for darker shades for the outer V and the crease. And then for lid shades, you've got a ton of lid shades. All these shimmery ones, light gold, almond pearl, medallion, light pewter. I mean, half the palette is, at least a third of the palette is really pretty lid shades. And then if you like matte lid shades, you've got another quarter of the palette. For transition shades, I think that Cool Taupe, Pink Nude, Clay, Terracotta, all four make gorgeous transition shades. So you're going to have a lot of variety in that respect. But overall, the packaging is okay. It's nude. It does get dirty, but you can wipe it off really easily. This fabric, this like faux leather, I guess you could say it is, Comes clean really easily, and it really does, it's similar to the Lorac Pro 2 palette packaging. So this is the Lorac Pro 2, this is Lorac Pro 3, they're the same size, same thickness, same packaging, just a different color, and it comes clean really easily. I've had this one for a couple of years and I can still wipe it clean every time. Still looks just like new, but this one has more color, purple, blue, olive green, stuff like that, whereas the Lorac Pro 3 concentrates more on the wearable neutrals that a normal everyday woman could wear out and about. So I think that it is a good value and I would recommend it, but not if you're looking for the most pigmented shadows. If you've become accustomed to Lorac shadows being extremely pigmented, their mattes still are in this palette, but the shimmers just don't quite perform like I was hoping. They don't pack enough oomph, and you can't really tell the true pigment of the shadows. They all just kind of come off the same. If I applied those 4 shimmery nude lid shades, they'd all look shimmery nude and you wouldn't be able to tell me which was which. I bet you I could fool anybody. Is this one light pewter? Is this one light almond pearl? And you probably wouldn't be able to tell. So that's something to consider. If you're looking for contrast, this palette can give it to you, but you have to be deliberate in your choices and colors when you're putting looks together. So I hope you guys found this review helpful. If you were thinking of purchasing it, I still want to try the Lorac Pro 1, but I think that the formulas are kind of different in the 2 and the 3. Just something I have noted, but I haven't tried the Lorac Pro 1. Comment down below if you have all 3 palettes perhaps and you have a preference, or if you think one of them performs better than the others. Thanks for watching. Bye.